years now. Yeah, 7 years. Wow. This is 2020. It was March of 2013 that I started my business. So I've been around for a little second. I am a native of Charleston, South Carolina. I born and raised here downtown Charleston on the east side, and I actually went to Burke High School. I went to Burke High School. I'm a mighty, mighty bulldog. This year actually makes 10 years. It's crazy thinking about it because I'm like, wow, all of that happened 10 years ago. I feel like when we're young, we don't really appreciate those times. We can be like, oh, that happened just last year, this year. It's like now when you're older, you say things like that, like, oh, yeah, that was 10 years ago. Don't mind me, I'm just being old. But when I graduated from Burke High School, I actually, I knew I wanted to go to college. I knew college was something that I always wanted to do. Most people that know me know that I'm a nerd. I always did well in school, always did well in class. I was very ambitious. I had very big goals for myself, and I still do. I still do the same thing. I knew I wanted to go to college, and I knew college was something that I wanted to do. But I know in my senior year, right away, I wasn't exactly sure of, what it was that I wanted to do. But in my junior, senior year of high school, I decided that graphic design was what I wanted to do. I decided that graphic design and writing, I was always passionate about writing, always passionate about those kinds of things. And so I decided I wanted to apply to college. And, I lived in South Carolina my entire life for so long. And I just made this decision one day. I grew up in one of, everyone, I'm pretty sure everyone that's on here is from Charleston. So you can attest to the fact that, when you're graduating from high school, thinking about college, you have your elders and everything that tell you like, oh, you need to leave, get out, go, there's nothing here, blah, blah, blah. And that's what happened to me. I had so many people in my ear and in my head telling me, get out of this place. There's nothing here. Like, you're a very smart person. Like, you need to go. Like, you're not going to succeed here at all. But me, I'm a very naturally optimistic person. So I instantly was like, well, no, I don't think it's really like that. I didn't learn this until after college. But I was definitely glad for, being able to go off to school. I went to school at Susquehanna University in Selinsgrove, Pennsylvania, which I actually got my, I know I mentioned in advertising for this workshop that I got over 650,000 scholarship offers from different schools around the region, really around the country, because I applied to schools as far out as like Washington State, um, California, Illinois. I was trying to get going. So I found Susquehanna, and I'm going to get into this more because I was just researching. I was looking for programs that, programs and schools that offered the kinds of things that I was interested in. I knew I wanted to go to school for writing, so I said, okay, I am going to, look for schools that, have great writing teachers. And Susquehanna had an amazing, I'm pretty sure it still has an amazing writing program. So I wanted to make sure that I chose a school that was for me, something that was specifically going to cater to my needs and what my interests were at that time. And I felt like I found that in Susquehanna. It was honestly, I can't even tell you when I applied to it. In total, I think I applied to over 50 colleges and universities. When people ask me why I did that, I think I was just being overly ambitious, and I was just very determined to be able to change my life. Post high school, I was very had low self-esteem problems. I had friends, but my friends, had things like the band, music, sports, all these other things that they were doing. So for me, I was like, okay, I gotta find my lane. I gotta find what's good for me. I have to find what works for me and things like that. So I figured what better way than to shake things up in my life was to be able to leave, leave Charleston, leave this area and really explore who I was as a person. So went to college off in Susquehanna University. I think Susquehanna gave me over $100,000 for over $100,000. I still had like a little bit of the tuition that I had to pay for with student loans and whatnot, but it was very, 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 very low compared to what their actual tuition is. It's a very big number. So I was definitely blessed and grateful for that. And since, as an adult now, looking back on that experience, I really feel like it was a great, defining moment for me. Even people always say college is a great experience, but I feel like the process preparing for college is a great experience as well, because you learn so much about yourself, you learn so much about the world, you learn so much about just things because it's one of the choosing going to go to college is one of the first adult things that you'll ever really get to do, when you're just coming out of, high school. So for me, it was very empowering. It was very exciting. And I just wanted to be able to, just like how I said, I wanted to be able to change my life. I wanted to be able to do something different. I wanted to be able to, beat the odds as well. Unfortunately, there were a lot of people, and this isn't anything against Burke or any, officials or anything like that from them, but, surprisingly throughout the process of applying to schools, it was a very discouraging process. A lot of people, really didn't believe like, hey, you can't go to college out of state. You're only supposed to go to school in South Carolina. And it's like, well, it's not really a law. Like that says you can't, go to school out of state, so a part of me thinks that I was as ambitious as I was because I was trying to prove a point, like, y'all not gonna tell me what I can and cannot do. So I think that for me was a very big adult moment for me. So definitely no regrets there. But I'll go ahead and jump into some of my notes just from my overall experience. And I'm going to post the article actually from the Post-Inquirer, detailing because I was on the front page of the Post-Inquirer, and on the news and everything for having achieved this many scholarship offers. And I will say one thing, this isn't what over that many scholarships, like these are offers. This is not checks that people are writing and sending to you. No. So please, if you think that that's what I'm going to give you today, that's not what I'm going to give you. There's people, they say, okay, you just applied to our school. Okay, well, we want to give you $40,000 if you want to come here. You have good grades, you do this, you do that. We want to give you this money. So definitely looking for scholarships, especially being an African American, growing up in an underserved community. I didn't have any money for school. I was afraid to even tell my parents, like, hey, I want to go to college, but I don't know how y'all gonna pay for it. So I wanted to, just like how I'm sure with many other students, they want to be able to, get the scholarships. They don't want to have to rely on their parents or their family or, their financial background to be able to pay for these things. If you have financial aid, that's totally fine. Totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I just firmly believe that if you can get a scholarship, go for it. It isn't as hard as people think. If you have the grades, if you have the GPA, if you have the determination, the scholarships will come to you because, I had scholarships that I applied for. When I applied to certain schools, they would just send me offers. It wasn't, it would be like, oh, I applied to Marymount University, which was actually a school that I applied to. I think it's in Maryland. I applied to Marymount University, and they decided, okay, this girl just applied. She has a 4.6 GPA, which I did. A 4.6 GPA. Let's give this girl some money. Like, we want her to come to our school. We want her to be successful. Because if you present yourself well enough to schools, they will just give you money. Like a lot of the times that's what it is. If you have the grades, if you are involved in your community, if you're involved in your school, you know, if you're just a well-rounded person, a well-rounded student, you know, the schools are they're gonna take heed to that, and they're gonna reach out to you. They're gonna wanna, you know, give you money and things like that. Actually, I actually only got like 80,000 from Susquehanna, and the rest of the money that they gave me was actually a scholarship that I didn't even know about. They just gave it to me. Like it was like a financial aid office lottery, and they were like, "Oh, we just put your names in a hat." And then we just pulled one, and then you were one of them. So here's about $30,000 more so you can come to our school and things like that. So, you know, there's things of that nature. And that's one of my first points. You know, when you are applying for schools or looking for schools, well, think about what schools you want to go to. Think about what schools you could see yourself at. Think about what your ideal college experience is. What do you want out of college? You know, do you even want to go to college? You know, that's the main thing. You know, if you're watching this and you're a student, or if you are a parent or a guardian or a relative, like, you know, you need to actually know if your child, your student, you know, this child wants to go to college. Because if you don't want to go to college, then you're not going to do the work to get a scholarship. You're not going to do the work to be able to stay in college. You know what I'm saying? So I 100% think that, I went to college. I have my bachelor's in communications. I graduated from Susquehanna a year and a half early in December of 2012. And I wholeheartedly believe college is not for everyone, because I've met hundreds of people, lots of people in South Carolina and outside of South Carolina that said, college is not for me. I've seen people waste hundreds of thousands of dollars going to school out of sheer boredom. They don't know what else to do with their lives, so they just go to school, or their parents don't want them around, so they just send them to school. Like, go to college because it's what you actually want to do. Go to college because it's something that you actually need to do, because you want to be a veterinarian, so you need to go to school to get the proper, you need to study and do all these different things. Go to college because you want to go to college. I beg every parent, every guardian, every relative on here, please don't force your child or guardian. Please don't do that to them. Do not force them to go to school, because in the end, when you get on the other side of it, they're going to totally regret it. So definitely decide if you want to go to college. That's rule number one. Do you want to go to college? If your answer is yes, keep watching. Now you want to go to college, so what schools do you want to go to? Think about, okay, I know we all watch TV all the time, and we see people make fun of frats and college life and college behavior and things like that, but what is your ideal experience? Do you want that, like, Greek life? Is that something important to you? That's something, I know for me, this isn't a question that I asked myself, because I just went wherever the money was, unfortunately. But, I wish that I went to a school that had, where it was more active when it came to the Greek life. I could have went to an HBCU, but I didn't go to an HBCU. I don't regret my decision as far as where I went, but, you might want to go to a PWI, which is a predominantly white institution, which may not have the same kinds of programs and the same kinds of things that an HBCU does, and also, if you're a minority, you are not required to go to an HBCU. There is no law saying that every Black person has to go to an HBCU. There is no law personally saying that you are bound to this in any way. I encourage any African American that wants to definitely go, because, even though having friends share their experiences from there, they're beautiful experiences. And this isn't knocking HBCUs or anything like that, but you have to kind of decide, like, what kind of experience that you want. For me personally, I didn't have any HBCUs that I applied to that gave me enough financial aid to go there. So for me at the time, it was a financial thing. I didn't give me any money. And then the outside scholarships that I had, they were not enough to be able to cover the cost of, cover the cost of tuition and the cost of books and things like that. But definitely, once you decide what kind of college experience that you want, research schools, look at different, and a part of, when you're researching the kind of college experience that you want, think about what it is that you want to study. And when you're doing that research to find schools, look for schools that have top programs. Like, for me, I looked for top writing programs in the country, and Susquehanna was one of them. They also have a top graphic design program in the country. At the time, I'm not 100% sure if, the program is still there, but, it was the top program at the time. So, it's not outrageous to think that you can be able to go to a school like that, because it's very possible. Once you have decided what kinds of, what schools you may want to go to. I know for me, I was thinking of Marymount University. I wanted to go to Duke University. I was looking at South Carolina State as well. Oh God, I can't remember the name of the school in Washington State, but there was a school in Washington State that I really wanted to go to because they had a really, really, really cool program, and they were they had a lot of diversity, which I like. Yes, diversity. So those are the experiences that I wanted. I knew I wanted to go to those schools. When you're applying to those schools, call the school, call their financial aid department and say, hey, I am a Black student in South Carolina, and I would really like to go to your school. I'm interested in applying to your school. You don't even have to tell them that. You could say, if you're a parent, you could call and say, hey, my child is wanting to apply, and, we're looking for financial aid options. This is literally what they are hired to do. Talk to you about what your financial aid options are. They can tell you about other scholarships that they offer for the school, because schools do have scholarships that they only offer to, they might, just like how I said with Susquehanna, like, they threw my name on the lottery. I didn't even know about it. I had applied to the school, and I forgot about it and went on, waiting on another school to be able to let me know something. But they just threw my name in, and then I got another scholarship. So ask about things like that. Like, what other scholarships do you guys offer? Do you have any, if you're a minority, do you have scholarships for minorities? Ask those kinds of questions, because the information is there and they have to tell you. If you don't want to call, you can always get this. You should be able to get the information off of the website as well. From my experience, I've seen a lot of schools, they put some information on there, but not every scholarship is listed on there, which is why I encourage a phone call, or if you email someone, set up a call or something. It's okay to ask those questions. Even if you don't get into the school, that's still information that you can share with someone else or whatnot. This is a practice you should do for every single school you want to apply to. When you're applying, getting your application together, call the school. What scholarships do y'all have? What are some common scholarships that applicants typically, or incoming students typically apply for? They can be able to refer those things to you. So definitely don't sleep on that. Another thing, when you are looking for scholarships and when you're, applying to schools and things like that, I know for me as an African American, what I did was I looked up, because there are tons of scholarships for people like Rosa Parks, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr., tons of historically Black leaders, whether they're living or dead. Just type their name in Google and type Malcolm X scholarship or Rosa Parks scholarship or Beyonce scholarship, and you'll never know. They might have a program. It's surprising to me. A lot of the times they don't push these programs very often, and you'll be surprised the amount of scholarships that exist, with the name, big names of historical Black leaders and things like that. So make a list of Black leaders and type WDEB Du Bois scholarship, this person's scholarship, this person. You'll find so much scholarships out there, and apply for them. An important tip that I want to make sure that everybody on here knows: when you are looking for scholarships, or when you find scholarships, read the summary of the scholarship and read the requirements thoroughly, because I cannot tell you how many scholarships I have wasted my time, when I was applying for them. I can't tell you how many I wasted my time gathering information just to be like, oh, this is only for Black kids in Wisconsin. or, this is only for kids interested in this program. So make sure you understand what exactly it is, because when you understand what this scholarship is, what the purpose of this scholarship is, and what this scholarship is meant to represent, then when you're applying, you can be able to, in your essay, or in your when you're answering questions, you're able to exude that in every possible way. That's another thing. You want to make sure when you're applying, you're deciding that you want to look for scholarships or apply for scholarships, you want to make sure that you have a understanding of who you are and where you're looking to go and why a scholarship is necessary. For me, when I was a kid, when I was much younger, I knew I wanted to be a writer. I knew I wanted to publish books. I knew I wanted to do all of these exciting things. And I'm like, okay, you need to give me this money because I'm a Black girl from South Carolina and I'm amazing and I'm going to change the world and y'all should want to invest in this. You can be able to, you want to have that confidence. You want to have that. That's what they want to see. They want to see, why should I give you money, little Black girl? Why should I invest in your future? So, and that goes back to my point of, go to college because you want to go to college. Apply for scholarships because this is something, you believe that this is something that you want to do, because when you're applying for scholarships, the time, the research, the energy, it's an investment. It's an investment for the student, and it's also an investment for the parent. Parents, I can't tell you how much money my mama and my daddy probably gave me to go to the post office every other day and mail off applications. We'll get stamps of applications, make copies of my applications, make copies of application fee waivers, copies of my resume, all these different things. Like, I should have had my mom here and she could be like, yep. So it's an investment. So you want to make sure that you know exactly what it is that you're walking into. So definitely making sure you're looking for those minority historic Black figures. If you're Asian, if you're Latino, if you're any minority group, research those leaders, those great leaders within your cultural history, and just such and such scholarship, George Lopez scholarship, or this person's scholarship, thinking of just type it into Google and you'll be surprised what you find. Like, application will probably be the first thing that pops up. Another thing, especially with the social climate that we're in right now, I'm seeing that more bigger brands are creating scholarship funds and creating community funds and things like that. So take advantage of it. The brands that you support, the brands that you are invested in as a parent, as a student, if you like your leggings from Walmart and you go and get your supplies from Dollar Tree, and you go here, look on their websites like Family Dollar, Target. There's so many different big brands that are out here that have scholarship programs for minorities, for kids in different programs. You want to make sure you look for those kinds of things. Or even when you go into the stores, ask for the regional manager's you can ask for the regional manager's contact information or the store manager's contact information and say, hey, I'm a student that lives in the area. I support this store all the time. I would love to be able to apply for your scholarship that you're having because I'm looking to go to school in the fall. That store manager might be able to make a call to corporate and say, hey, I have this student here that's outstanding and, they want to be able to, go to college. And so we want to be able to back them. You never know what can come from things like this. That's why it's never a bad thing to ask those kinds of questions. So definitely looking into those brands that you already affiliate yourself with, you are already with. And just to kind of tag onto the story that I was telling, and I'm going to make it just because it made sense right now. Another thing that you can also do, there's so many small businesses out here that are always looking to support families, support communities, to just be able to help in some kind of way. And this is a program that I'm actually working on. I'm starting because Exquisite Kids, which is my nonprofit where we help kids with self-esteem and self-confidence issues, we actually do offer a, what's the word I'm looking for? um, a scholarship fund right now for students, but we're what I'm wanting to do is to be able to create a book fund. So if you are a student that's wanting to go to college and you need money for books, you know, small businesses can be able to donate and students can apply, and then we send them money to be able to get their books and things like that. So the point that I was trying to make basically was that take advantage of the small businesses that are in your community, the small businesses that you support, you know, because they may be able to bring your attention to scholarship opportunities and opportunities to be able to help your student, you know, when it comes to their higher education within your community or within your area. And they might even want to sponsor. You know, I've heard of small businesses that might sponsor students' books for the summer, you know, for the summer semester or for the fall semester for their entire junior year, things like that. So if you are a small business owner, definitely send me your email and we'll talk about it more. But definitely, you know, build those relationships. Like, don't be afraid to go into your community. Your community is your community for a reason. Like, your community is there because they are supposed to, we support one another. You know, we help one another. We help one another to be able to grow. We help one another to be able to build. So don't be afraid to ask your local business or your local Walmart or your local, to, hey, do you guys offer a scholarship? You know, or if you go into a gas station, so many gas stations offer scholarship, guys. If you have a gas station that you go to, please go on their website, search Exxon scholarship, Spanx scholarship, or things like that. Even if they may not have a direct fund, you might be able to even go to that specific store and say, hey, my child's going to college, you know, what can we put like a, you know, I see people, you know, be as creative as putting like jars in different stores and things like that. Like, hey, donate $1 for my daughter that's going to college, or donate $1 for my daughter that's, you know, needing money for books or things like that. So definitely, you know, you want to, it's okay to be as creative as possible when it comes to funding your college career or your potential, you know, higher education career. So also, I love technology because it's so in tune into who you are, what you do, and what you know, all that good stuff. One of the things that I've noticed is Google, you know, on your phone, Google oftentimes will send you like news of things that they might have seen you scrolling on Amazon for this, so you're going to see all these different news articles. Go on places like Google News, CNN, type in scholarships. Scholarships available to scholarships in South Carolina, scholarships here, scholarships there. And you'll find like even, and this is another thing, and I should have said this in the beginning, and I do apologize. You can start applying for scholarships as early as your sophomore year. I would say the second half of your sophomore year. Because, for example, if I'm searching for scholarships online and I go to Google News and I type in scholarships in Charleston, South Carolina, and I found that, oh, this young lady just got a $5,000 scholarship to go to, you know, to go to school for the next semester. That's something that I can take note of that information. So next semester or in my senior year, I can say, okay, this is a scholarship that I need to apply for. So I'm hoping that I'm making sense for everybody. So definitely, just to recap for anybody that might be joining us or that is listening to me ramble, they're like, what are you saying? You definitely, when you're looking for scholarship offers, you know, opportunities for students, make a list of the schools that you're interested in going to, your top schools that, you know, that student might particularly really want to go to. Call those schools that you're applying to and ask them about their scholarship opportunities. What kind of scholarships do your students apply for? You know, what kind of financial aid is available to students? You know, and then also you can ask about scholarship offers for, you know, when they're applying and then while they're already there, because there are scholarships available for students once they're already in college as well, that can help you to be able to continue the cost, you know, paying for the cost of tuition, other expenses, and things like that. So that's something to keep in track of as well. So you can start as early as you know, your sophomore year when it comes to researching scholarships, but you can keep looking for them all the way up until probably like your senior year of college. You know, some people, there's not financial aid necessarily or scholarships necessarily for grad school and things like that, but, you know, I'm pretty sure with doing the right kind of research and things like that, eventually I'm pretty confident those opportunities will present themselves to you. So definitely looking at calling the schools, looking up on Google or whatever your search browser is, minority historical figures, and type in Malcolm X scholarship, MLK scholarship, whatever the case may be. Looking at social justice organizations and community organizations in your communities and nationally, or even in your region. You can look for, you can look at Black Lives Matter and see if they have any scholarship offers, opportunities, or it might be like an organization that helps people register to vote here. They might offer a small scholarship to students as well. You can even go as far as going on places like Facebook and hashtags on Instagram and find scholarship opportunities there as well. Like you can literally go in the search bar, search for someone's page or their business page or anything like that, and type in scholarship news in my area, and you can find it. It will literally send you different posts, public posts and things like that, and pages that are relevant to those topics. So you can find things like that. Use social media to your advantage. So, and then on Instagram, looking at those hashtags like hashtag scholarship or maybe 2020 scholarship or things like that, getting creative and making out a long list and just going on Instagram and just searching for those things, and you'll find scholarships there as well. So scholarship news, searching on Google, your search engine of choice for scholarships as well. Community organizations, crowdfunding, just like how I said, going back to, partnering with small businesses, or, approaching small businesses about, donating to your child's, future and things like that. You can do crowdfunding, do a GoFundMe, or go do this or do that. There's nothing wrong with doing all of these things. I encourage every last one of you to do every single one of these things, because they definitely are necessary and definitely work hand in hand with one another. So definitely back to what I was saying about getting started when it comes to looking for those scholarships. You want to make sure starting in sophomore year when it comes to getting started with your research, and you can start applying to scholarships as early as your junior year. I can't tell you how frustrated I've been, when I was in my senior year and applying for scholarships, and were like, oh, this is for juniors only. So you want to make sure you doing that research, and you can actively be applying to those all the way up until graduation. I was still getting scholarship offers even once I had already gotten to Susquehanna in the fall, like up until like the end of my first semester. I was still getting scholarship offers, still getting letters in the mail and things like that from people. So key things, start in your sophomore year as far as doing research and looking for those scholarship offers. You can start applying for scholarships as early as your junior year. So research, start that in your sophomore year, start applying in your junior year. And then that way, and another reason why I encourage that as well, so whatever ones that you miss, okay, I can try the next year, I can try the next year, and I can try the next year, because that's what I did. I know when I was in my junior year, I found all these scholarships, I was finding all these scholarships for senior year, and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to make a note of this, and I'm going to make a note of this. A very useful website that I found was, and this is to anybody, and I have checked this website, it is still active, FastWeb, F as in Frank, A as in Apple, S as in Sam, T as in Tom, W as in Winter, E as in Edward, B as in boy.com, FastWeb. They were a very useful resource for me as well when it came to finding financial opportunities for college, including scholarships and grants and things like that. So definitely going and searching on there, I would definitely encourage that. And also, and of course, when you're applying to schools and applying for scholarships, they want to know about your test results. I always get this question from a lot of parents and families. You can take the ACT and the SAT as much as you possibly would like to, but I would say the max for me, and what I probably did, I definitely remember only taking it about 3 to 4 times and just taking my highest test scores from whatever it was. One, because it's very annoying to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning to go take a test that's going to last until probably like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So definitely, I would say, like, don't torture yourself, don't beat yourself up. Just 3 to 4 times is good. I would say at least. If you're going to go for 4 times, I would say once in the first semester, junior year, once in the second semester, junior year, once in the first semester, senior year, or summer before senior year, and then again in that fall, semester of your senior year as well. Because I don't want to be taking all these tests in my last semester of high school and For me personally, I had already started taking what's it called, college credit classes. So I was splitting my time in between high school and college. So, I was like, okay, well, I'm already here, so I don't need to take the test. I'm already know where I'm going, the school that I want, I already need money. So I don't need to worry about nothing else. So, and so definitely taking the test, no more than 4 times, I would say is the max. Also, when you're in college well, not in college, in high school in general, you want to make sure. Another important thing that I always say, this is why I say it's important to build those relationships in your communities with small businesses and things like that. Be active. Part of what a lot of these schools and scholarships want to see is that you're an active student. You're not just some random student that's just like, no real future, no real potential. They don't really know where they want to go, but they just want your money. You want to be able to show them like, hey, I'm on the honor roll and I'm the president of the prom committee and this group and that group and that group. You want to be able to show them like, you have to create somewhat of a resume for yourself. And I'm not saying go out and join 8 different groups. A part of figuring out wanting to go to college is knowing exactly what you want. So, when you're picking activities and things like that that you want to involve yourself in, you want to pick things that are relevant to your future, like things that are relevant to your interests and things that are relevant to your life. You also want to make sure, that, this is something that I want to do. I'm doing this because I want to do it, not because I'm looking for, not just doing it because I want a scholarship in 4 years or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So just making sure that, the building that resume for yourself and not to overwhelm yourself at the same time as well. So, and then also making sure throughout this process, I know I'm giving everybody a lot of information. It is totally okay to ask for help. The guidance department at your child's school is supposed to be there to help them with this. Their teachers, and I'm going to tell parents, don't rely on them because the one at Burke when I was there was not that great. It was really not. So just being 100% honest, and I feel like in part ways they let me down. So definitely you want to make sure you're doing what it is that you're supposed to do with working with the guidance department, but also doing that, taking it upon yourself to doing that research. You and your child working together to do that research and whatnot. And then practicing, of course, practicing when you're preparing to apply for scholarships, making sure you practice your essay, what your personal essay is, who you are, making yourself stand out, understanding what it is that's important to you, what are your values, what are your principles, what do you stand by, why should I care about you? Like, why are you somebody that the world needs to know about? These are questions that schools and scholarships, they want to know. Like, why the heck should I care? Every child is worthwhile to a scholarship, in my opinion. But and you're essentially proving yourself when you're applying to these things. So definitely, and also when you're applying, we live in a very digital age now. So please make sure whatever social media, and this is for parents as well. Social media, Google yourself. I'm gonna say that first. Google yourself. Just go on Google, bang, whatever it is, and just start typing your name. Type in your name where you live. See what comes up, because that's what they're going to do when they get your application. That's what they're going to do when they get this stuff, because they want to see who are we. They want to know, for colleges want to know who the heck are we going to be bringing in here to represent our school and what our school's brand is and what we stand for. They want to make sure that you reflect those same things, but also that, for scholarships, like, you just seen some, you're not lying for one when you're lying, lying on your application for one. So definitely making sure that whatever social media pages that you have are clean. Just go ahead before you start, just delete the post. I say this for parents as well, because a lot of people don't know this, but they look at parents' pages and information just as much as they do the students' information as well. So and another thing, this is a side note, but there are scholarships that exist out there for parents. My mom actually love her to death. Thank you so much for that, Mom. She apply for a scholarship for me as well. I was applying for scholarships, and then she did one for her, for me also. There are parent scholarships that are out there. You have to meet certain requirements, but financially and things like that. But definitely that's something you can look into as well. So look for parent scholarships also. But definitely parents, when you're putting your name and signing up on these applications and things like that, when they're looking at your kid, they're looking at you as well. So you want to make sure whatever you're putting out there to the world is something that's not going to come back and affect them and affect their future as well. So definitely social media is the key. Isn't that funny? Like now, everything revolves around social media as much as, but in the beginning, how we never really took it that serious as much anymore. It's really like a relevant thing. I know I talked about before about making sure you check the requirements for scholarships. When you find a scholarship, read the requirements, read what the scholarship is for, what it's about. Because you don't want to be just apply to something because it says it's a minority person's name scholarship or whatever, and I'm just going to apply for it. Like, no, it might be something for someone, applying to this or pursuing this career path and whatnot. So definitely make sure that you're checking those requirements. Personalizing your essay, I know I mentioned it before as well, but also you want to make sure that whatever essay or questions that you answer on essays, you want to make sure that you're being as authentic and as genuine as possible. And then also, that you take the time to actually make sure, proofread it 100 times before you actually submit it. So make sure you check for proofreading, errors, spelling, and grammar. They look at things like that because I can't tell you how many times people have applied to scholarships and one word is spelled wrong and they throw the whole application away. It's the same thing with jobs, with resumes. So, sometimes some boss will deny you just because they didn't like the font you're the font that your resume is in. Sounds random, but people do this because you got to think it's thousands of people applying to these things. And yeah, they have people that are going through these applications, but not all these people want to be reading this stuff, so they just gonna find whatever they can to just write you off the list and go on to the next one. So definitely taking that time to proofread it and understanding why. Again, I keep going back to understanding why you want to go to college and why you want to study what it is that you want to study. Thinking about what your future looks like, thinking about what you want your future to look like. What is that school going to do for you? What is that school going to do for you in your career? How is that going to fit into that? So definitely make copies of everything as well. When you go to the post office, make as many copies as you can. Or I know I did it when I was at my little part-time gig when I was at school. Print copies of applications. Even when you're at school, going to the library, just print copies of your applications before you send them off, so that you can be able to know what you said to this school. So when they want to interview you about the scholarship, you can be able to say, "Oh yes, I did say this." Because sometimes what they do, this is something because I want to say it happened to me. It happened to somebody I know. It's actually someone I went to college with. It was they consider it to be a very funny story. But basically, he got a call saying that he was going to be applying, got approved, was in the running for a scholarship, and they wanted to interview him. Didn't know what was on the application and anything like that. And basically he had an interview, and the interviewee caught on that could tell that he didn't remember what the heck he said on the paper, and just started throwing out random things that he didn't even say on there just to be able to throw him off and see if he kept going with it. And yeah, basically long story short, they denied him because they were like, we know you lied, you didn't even take the time to prepare for the interview. So definitely that's something you want to make sure you prepare for as well. The applying is one part, but as you move through the process, people are going to call you for interviews. They're going to call you for to talk to you or ask you questions about this or questions about that, or they want to get to know you a little bit more. So make sure you know exactly what it is you said on that application. So make a copy of it before you put it in the mail, or you send it off by email, or you fax it off. And then I know previously I mentioned parents making sure that you invest that time and taking the time to research and do the work with your child. You definitely don't want it to be actual work for them. This is their future that kids or students are working towards. So you want to make sure that you show them that, hey, I'm with you. Like, I'm here with you. I have your back and things like that, and especially if they've committed themselves and say, hey, this is definitely what I want to do. At college is definitely what I want to do. I would definitely say, make sure you invest that time, invest that money. Just like how I said, with the application fees and, having to travel here and there for this interview or to apply for this or to do with that or, I can remember when I was applying to schools and when the Post Record did that article on me in the paper, Susquehanna, I mentioned Susquehanna in the article before I'd even decided what school I wanted to go to. And I mentioned the school in there because they were asking me like, oh, what schools were the top ones that give you the most money and everything, which is a weird question. And so I was saying like Susquehanna, this person, that person, and things like that. And so they actually got a Google alert for it, and they found me. So the dean of students actually contacted me and said, hey, we found this article about you and all this money that you've earned. So not only do we want to fly you out here for free to come and check out the school, but we also want to give you a little bit more money to be able to actually come here. They literally, my first time visiting my school, I act like, and still blows my mind to this day, like I did not even believe anything like that would have been possible. Like being able to be greeted as I was and treated like, oh, that's Kimberly, yeah, from South Carolina, blah, blah, blah. It's from, it's in the schools in Pennsylvania, so, I was like a rarity being from the South. So definitely making sure you do that. Checking those scholarships for those schools, seeing what it is they offer. Let's see, I'm sorry, I'm just looking at my notes, y'all, I apologize. Also making sure that you know the dates. Make a calendar for yourself as well, and this is just college in general. Just life in general, high school in general. You want to make sure that you know the dates when it comes to when the next ACT tests are, when the next SAT tests are. I have, like, my mom started me with this, like, these giant calendars I buy every year at the top of the year, New Year's. That's my New Year's gift for my mom every year. It's just a big calendar. And I just write notes because ever since then, when I was applying for schools and, going through the process through high school, I made notes of, okay, I have this, I have this, I have that, so that you can remember, you can hold yourself accountable for it. So definitely, and now we have technology, you just put it in your phone, like, so some of the common dates that I will tell people times of year to kind of look out for, especially is like, that beginning of the school year for fall term, summertime is good, and even like end of I would say like that end of summer, earliest part of the school year type time, and even like the top of the new year, January is also good times as well. To apply for scholarships, look for scholarships and things like that, because usually that's what so many organizations might be announcing that their applications are open again, and ticket applications, or they might be announcing the winner for the previous term and saying, okay, here's when the applications will open back up again. Something else you can add onto your calendar. So make sure you're doing that, and also like. This is just something, a rule of thumb that I taught myself when I was applying to schools. Like, the ones that want the most requirements, require you to do the most work, are usually the best ones to apply to, because not a lot of people are probably going to apply to them because they don't want to do work. So if you're willing to do work, you might be in that number. So, but definitely, I encourage everyone to apply to scholarships early. Do your research. Do your research and apply as early as you can, or as you're ready to. Make sure you're thorough and that you take the time to do the research, and things like that, and apply to as many as you can. Like, there is no limit or no cap that no one can set that I've ever heard of that says like, oh, you can only apply to this many scholarships. Like, no, you can. They're out there for you to apply to. They're out there because organizations and people and communities believe in students and believe in, any student to be that they deserve the right to be able to go to college and not have to be financially burdened by, just because they have the audacity to want more for themselves. You know what I'm saying? So definitely taking that time to do the research. Parents, putting your heads together, working with your kids, definitely do it. I definitely encourage it. And yeah, that's basically everything I have. I know I've been rambling a whole time, but definitely, if you have questions, I do have an ebook that I am working on right now that is going to have some more information, kind of revisiting some of the information that I shared today, but also some more helpful tips, some more names, some more concrete names of scholarships that I'm aware of that exist, that I've researched and looked for, like names of them and links and things like that. That is an ebook that I'm working on that I'm hoping is going to be done by this time next week. It'll be available for sale on my website. As soon as we're done, I'll probably post the cover and everything. I definitely, again, I hope I was able to help a family or a relative or a student that may be watching this live or maybe watching it later on down the line. I'm hoping that I was able to help you guys in some kind of way, and continue to be optimistic when it comes to your future. No matter what obstacles you may face or what may come in your way or what may sneak in your way, or what may present itself, it's very possible for you to be able to achieve all of your goals and be able to do what it is that you set your mind and your heart to. So if college is something that you want to do, then, scholarships is definitely something that I would encourage any student to be able to apply for. I'm also putting myself out there as well. If anybody wants to, needs further assistance as far as doing the actual application for scholarships, I am available to anyone that needs any additional kind of help. Again, I thank you guys for your time. I have talked this entire time, but I appreciate you guys again. Thank you so much, and y'all enjoy the rest of your evening.